key camera.
Max. So we can also determine
the PCs.
We can also determine the names of like some common PCs, right? The default camera and common PCs, and filter those out too.
That may change names. Yeah, we can't really go into that.
Okay.
Maybe something as simple as if it has the word internal or FaceTime, assume it's internal. Otherwise, we don't know. So,
I mean, perhaps another way to think about this is to opt in.
Disable opt-ins.
Maybe I'm not. Well, no, it says any devices that are plugged in will come in active.
So sorry, just at the highest level, right? The idea is if you have an external camera plugged in, 9 out of 10 times, that's the one you're going to want, and you don't need your FaceTime, because it's very rare that you would use a FaceTime and a webcam in the same broadcast. So the idea was like, if there's only one camera, obviously load it, although you could unload it if you're just using VOD. But if you have an external camera, load that one and don't load the internal one, so that we can preserve that performance hit. So that's kind of the goal. So then, from a technical feasibility perspective, how do we get there? What's the most reasonable way to get to that goal of not loading the internal camera if external one is available?
Why do we want to preload any of them? I mean, if somebody's doing a podcast, or we don't know which one they really want to use. Anyway, like, why not just have them turn each one on?
I think that's kind of lame to have a live streaming platform where you have to opt and like have none of the cameras work by default.
Will we tell them that even having it on, even if they're not using it, will be a performance hit, or only when they go turn a specific one on?
Right now, only if they turn a specific one on.
Yeah, I still don't know if that's worth the hit on the user experience of forcing everybody to enable their camera every time they launch Studio. For the chance that they might not be using the camera.
I mean, we can remember ones that they've activated.
Yeah, so we can have a checkbox that says like always activate this device.
Yeah,
well, how do we do that? Because right now, when I like use a camera in the timeline and then I reload Studio, I feel like it doesn't remember that camera.
Because you're going to a different broadcast. Because you're saying you get the thing in Chrome, right, that says allow this to use your camera.
No. I'm saying if I drag my C920 into the timeline and then I come back in the next day, the C920 isn't recognized and I gotta re-drag it in.
Right, because the IDs change.
Right, so how do we know if it's the same device? That's my question. Because the IDs change. That's why I thought we couldn't know if it was the same.
Actually, is that the case? Like a C920, if you refresh, will the device ID be different, or each time you plug it in, it becomes different, right?
I don't even think it's each time you plug it in.
For me, every time I run the script, I tried saving the ID, it always reset. So it was never the same.
So can't you tell device type, whether it's like the laptop camera as compared to another one?
Oh, I do it by name, right?
I do it by data-name contains C922 or FaceTime. That's all I do.
Well, in theory, you could have multiple C920s connected.
Yeah.
So.
Right, in which case we would load them, because chances are if you've got 3 cameras connected to your laptop, chances are you want to use them.
Oh yeah, you're baller.
It's just that if you've got one of these external cameras connected, we want to, basically the only scenario where we're kind of making a decision for the user is assuming that if they've got a camera connected, they don't want to use their FaceTime. I know it's not going to catch every scenario, but I still think that's better than like forcing people to turn on the camera every time we do a demo, every time you launch Studio. I don't know what would happen on refresh, but.
And quick thing, is there somewhere we could Or should we dump, like, something like this, like, get a list of all people's camera devices and store them somewhere so we could actually look through that ourselves later? Like, what are the common names? Like, is there something we could key off of?
I mean, maybe we could do that.
Part of that huge user base,
Right, and also the problem is probably 90% more prolific on PCs than it is on Mac.
definitely.
So just stripping out FaceTime cams is not really, it's a false sense of security.
Well, I think each device that we're able to detect is just more foolproof, right? So if Mac is 50%, then if we just look for FaceTime, then we've solved it for 50%, right? But
That's
if
like
we
90%.
what?
I thought it was like 90% PC.
Right. So then if there are 3 or 4 models that we can identify that are common on PCs, then we might get to 80%, which is better than 0%, right?
Yes, that's true. I think grossly underestimating the differences in camera models, but yes,
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm just hypothesizing if there are 3 or 4 like common terms, like internal or something on the PC. I don't know that there are, but if there are, the idea is not like if we can't catch 100%, it's not worth doing. If we can catch 70, 80, 60%, it still may be worth doing, even if we're not going to catch everything. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely. It's worth doing if we catch 6% or 7%.
When Mark said 90%, he was saying 90% of computers are still Windows.
No, I got it.
Yeah, but our user base, I think, is more Mac, right? Like, what do you see in Intercom, or do you track that?
We do track it. I haven't looked at it recently.
That'd be good to take a look at.
Yeah, I mean, certainly when we can record the device names in Intercom. Yeah, there are ways to do it. It's not super cool, but
We could also set up a Firebase thing for that, like as a first stab at or debug logging, but you know, this is something kind of different.
distinguish the internal from the external. So we can do a little bit more research on our end to see cameras by default. We disable all the cameras by default, or what we've chosen to do.
Live in their timeline. Do we either prompt or turn off something like that?
Like you click start live broadcast, it says, hey, you've got some cameras that doesn't appear to be using, you know, do you want to turn them off to maximize performance? Yes or no?
Using your FaceTime camera, you want us to turn it off.